Welcome to Nordic Funds, the place where we connect companies and investors. My name is Billy, and this interview is disseminated on behalf of Bayridge Resources. Today I'm joined by Saf Dhillon, President, CEO, and Director of the company. Bayridge Resources is a Canadian uranium exploration company focused on advancing its flagship project, Baker Lake. As demand for stable, reliable energy continues to grow, uranium has become an increasingly interesting sector to follow. Fantastic to have you here today, Chef.
Glad to be back, Billy. Actually, things are going great. I think it's
Ni-
been a great year so far, and we're looking forward to the second half of 2026 and beyond.
Wonderful. That's the way it should sound. Before we're heading into the questions, let's dive a little bit deeper into the presentation, and then I'm following up with the Q&A. Before we continue, make sure to hit subscribe to the channel and hit the bell so you don't miss our latest videos.
Sure. Let me just pull up our PowerPoint here real quickly. Okay. Again, Billy, the name of the company is Bayridge Resources Corp. We are a BC-based company, two projects, one in Athabasca and one, our flagship property now, actually sits in Nunavut, just north of the whole Athabasca region. I should double check. You guys can see this about the company page three.
Absolutely. Everything looks
Okay.
great.
Yeah. So again, that yellow down here, this is the 40% JV partnership that we have with Canalaska, CVV on the CSE, and the flagship property that we are focused on right now is the Baker Lake property. One of the things I really like to highlight is that there's a lot of junior companies out there, that are considered greenfield, and somebody might say that we're still a micro cap company, but the unique thing with this Baker Lake project and why we were so excited to be able to acquire this right now, currently we own 51%, and probably before the year is up, we'll be able to sign a deal to acquire the remaining 49%. And part of the reason that why we were so excited about this project, I'm just going to flip to the next stage, is that in comparison to a lot of other micro caps out there, we're currently sitting at about a $4 million market cap, if that. We have 20 million shares out, but this is a property that it has a ton of data on it. It's had over $7 million Canadian that's already been spent on the property. We've got a number of drill holes. We've got identified well-known zones, the Lucky 7, KZ zone, as well as the KZ South. All these sections or targets within the property have had drill holes on them. We've got a huge land package in total. As you can see, it's roughly about 430 square kilometers. And we have an identified unconformity, which is the key indicator for uranium. This runs apparently up to 70 kilometers in length throughout the whole property. And one of the anecdotes actually that our VP of Exploration, Mark, he's obviously been involved with the project well before Bayridge got involved here. But one of the stories that he likes to indicate and how this property was initially drilled, or the Lucky 7 zone, that one of the original vendors on the property, they were actually doing a helicopter flyover through that region, and they thought they saw what looked like a very interesting outcrop of rock. They ended up landing close to it, walking over to this outcrop, taking a scintillator, and lo and behold, they hit some great uranium numbers, and they ended up drilling it. And this is where they hit the 17 meters of 0.3% U3O8. And that's really kind of how this, I think, whole property got started a couple of decades ago. And then it just kind of sat idle after, the downturn in 2008,
Yeah.
Fukushima, and, uranium kind of fell out of favor, or nuclear power generation kind of fell out of favor until he was able to acquire these claims. And then we did a deal with them last year. So that kind of, I think, really in a nutshell, kind of sets us apart. We might be a small micro cap, early stage company, but we have a property that's had, a fairly good historical work program. And we've got all that data that essentially, we haven't still had quite how do you say, the full interpretation
Yep.
that's been completed yet. And that's something that we plan on doing.
Very interesting, man. But before we are diving a little bit deeper into the company and the understanding of that, it would
Yes.
be interesting to start with the bigger picture since nuclear energy is getting a lot of more attention again, and we're seeing companies like Microsoft, Google, Amazon investing in nuclear power to support their growth AI ambitions. How do you think about the uranium market today, and what do you think investors still underestimate about where it's heading?
Yeah, again, I think I'd like to remind the viewers that, again, my background, when I first got started in the junior mining or the natural resource industry, I was involved with a renewable energy company called US Geothermal. And so at that time was when I actually learned that there's really only two base load sources of power. That was
Yep.
geothermal and nuclear. And again, like I said, because of some downturns in the overall markets and in the nuclear industry, uranium and nuclear power had fallen out of favor.
Yeah.
And now with all these new data centers, EV, the electrification of pretty well everything, robotics, everything's going to need power. And
Everything. Yeah.
there's going to be, I think, a voracious demand. It's still growing, and I think it's only going to get better and better. And you can see that even with the uranium prices, we're currently, I think, still sitting in the 80-85 dollar range, but I think that there's going to be more and more demand throughout the year,
Yeah.
especially in North America.
Yeah, it feels like that could be the best way to go when it comes to stable energy as well.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly. I think that's the key.
yeah, I think so as well. And if we're trying to move over to Baker Lake for a moment here, one thing that caught my attention was that you're not following up on the historical drill results there. Instead, you're focusing on new targets like Delta. What led you into that direction, and what makes those targets so interesting for you guys?
Well, yeah, I think that, the plan will be to hopefully get a drill bit turning sometime next year. But, with the Delta, the new target, we do have, like you said, and I've pointed out on our PowerPoint here that we do have 30 high priority targets.
Yeah,
But we also have Delta, which is really turning out to be, I think, an exciting new target. As I said, that we haven't had the chance or the opportunity to get a full interpretation of all the data because one, there is a lot of data, and it's just only recently that we've been able to unlock some of this information,
yeah,
and so that's why I think we're really excited. We've closed the first tranche of financing just
exactly.
a couple of weeks ago. Today is July 28th. I think we closed that early last week, and we closed on 700,000. Plans are to still complete the other 1.5 roughly, and half of that is flow through and half is hard dollars.
Yeah,
So we really want to get the preparatory work or the early surface groundwork in place, complete some more interpretation, and really then embark on a initial drilling program for sometime early late next spring.
yep,
And that really is going to set the stage, I think, for a much larger drill program, hopefully for the
exactly.
latter half of next year.
Yeah, it feels like that is going to be a very important part now for the next phase, really.
Oh yeah, I think you nailed I think you hit the nail on the head,
Yeah,
Billy, because this property's been drilled. But this is old drilling technology, old technology that was really involved in identifying and completing the original historical drill holes. But we're really excited just to get started
yeah,
again and kind of prove the model or the proof of concept is
yeah,
really what the first phase, I think, of drilling is going to do for us. I agree with you. And I think even just recently, like, some of the most savviest investors, guys like Rick Rule, I think even they're calling for a higher demand for power generation, higher demand for uranium
yeah,
prices.
yeah.
So I think our timing, hopefully is going to fit well with the tailwinds coming from the industry.
Yep, that's the way it should be. Always good to have the wind in your back. Yeah.
It's much better than yeah, headwinds.
That's the way. But let's just, I want to simplify it for Scandinavian investors. It's a lot of companies. You've been mentioning a few things, but what do you think makes the company stand out? Just so we're trying to get the key points here. You've been touching it before, but it would be nice to
Yeah.
understand it once again.
I think a quick summary is, we have less than 20 million shares out, 19 and change. I think we're sitting at about 20 cents, right? And
Yeah,
so, like I said, about a $4 million Canadian market cap. And our flagship property has had more than almost double our market cap spent on the property. It's a 400 square kilometer property,
yeah,
multiple 30 high priority targets ready to go to be drilled, and a 70-kilometer long unconformity.
yeah,
So small market cap, extremely tight cap structure, and a huge property that has already proven high grade uranium. And
yeah.
actually, I think the highest grade I should have mentioned is if you take a look at some of our peers, and I'm not sure if I actually have it here, there's a quick picture of the unconformity. That's the big long red line that pretty well runs throughout the whole property. The Delta, Atlas, Lucky Seven, all are identified here. And there was one more real quick slide. I think I might have it on here, or it might be on the new one. Sorry, Billy. I think that we do actually have another one that will be updated to the website fairly soon. Yeah, I don't have it on here.
No
Sorry,
worries.
but
We can look at the website and find the deck there.
should have it up in the next week or two. Okay.
Absolutely perfect. Absolutely perfect. And I want to understand one thing as well. You were mentioning 51% when it comes to the ownership. In just
Yes.
simple terms, what does that mean? Because right now I want to clarify that as well.
Yeah, I think we wanted to take a strategic, we wanted to make this acquisition as strategic as possible. Acquire 51%, do a little
Yep.
bit of work on the property, have a little bit of proof of concept, get comfortable with the data.
Yeah.
And, I think it was a fairly friendly transaction. It's been great working with the private group. And I think, like I said, before the year's up, we'll have made a decision on whether we're going to acquire the remaining 49%, and we'll have that closed before the year's up.
Okay, that is absolutely amazing. But when it comes to the team, we want to understand the qualities of the team because obviously it doesn't take one person to build something like this. Could you tell us a little bit more about the team and the people that you're surrounded with?
Yeah, you know what? That's a good question because, again, I think Billy, I might have mentioned this to you in the couple of times that we've talked. I don't really have a strong technical background, but that's why I think it's really important that, you start off with somebody who's going to be, overseeing the whole exploration technical program. And that's why I think somebody like Mark Richardson, who is our VP of exploration,
Yep.
he's got a great track record. He comes from a team that has been involved in at least, I think, a dozen, if not new discoveries, but upsizing of resources, uh, definition of new targets. Very, very active historical background. He's been focused on copper, gold, and uranium for the last 10 years.
Yep.
And again, like I said, he's had some key successes in some new discoveries. And then he's also brought with him a community liaison that I think is really, really important in these smaller communities
Yep.
because, it doesn't matter, face it, you can be as nice as possible, but people from the smaller communities tend to always look at, companies and big city guys as city slickers.
Hmm.
So I think we're building a really good team, and that started with Mark Richardson, and we'll see. We'll continue to grow,
Yep.
and yeah, fun
Yeah,
times ahead, I think.
yep. I'm happy to hear that you're surrounded with people that has been in the game for a long time. That's the way it
Yeah,
should be. And
and entrenched in the community, respected in the community. So I think
yeah,
that really makes a difference.
yeah,
Hire local, right?
yeah, that gives you a lot of wind in the back. Absolutely agree on that one. All good. But and just to leave us here and wrap things up, when it comes to like the next 12 months, is it something specific that is going to be a little bit extra important to put on your mind before we're leaving you?
Yeah, I think you'll see us complete the second half of the financing that was announced earlier last month. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, we closed on 700,000 of 2 million that we're looking to raise in total. both hard and flow through. You'll
Yep.
see that. I think you'll see some more data come out from the reinterpretation of historical data. And as we continue to do more work in the community, I think you'll see some more milestones for us as we get ready for a drill program next year.
Yep. I'm happy to see that you're starting to bring in some good amount of money to support that journey as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, really nice. Thank you for taking your time, Chef.
Thanks again for having me, Billy.
Thank
Talk to
you.
you soon.
Talk to you soon. And to our Nordic investors, thanks a lot for this time. Have a good night.